Welcome everyone. Today we will study rural markets and overview. The subject code is MMPM-008. This is block 1 and unit 1 of your rural marketing paper. After this class, you will be able to learn with me the basic definition of rural markets and the classification of rural in India, an overview of rural markets, the changes therein after 1950 onwards. We will analyze the implication of rural markets for marketers, government institutions, and policymakers. We will also discuss about the demography of rural markets and why it is important for rural marketing, the issues and challenges in rural market, the distinction between the characteristics of rural and urban market. Finally, we will touch a concept that is called rural. Let's introduce the chapter to you. Before going in detail of rural marketing, we will get to know you. We know the famous saying that India lives in village. India has more than 6.5 lakh villages, but only 2 lakh are currently serviced effectively. What does it mean? It means that nearly 4.5 lakh villages remain untapped due to untapped in the sense marketers are not able to reach them. There are many factors, but among the factors, major factors are inaccessibility due to poor infrastructure and lack of economic opportunities. Economic opportunity also includes jobs, agricultural income, and non-farming income also. Despite these challenges, rural markets hold huge potential because 60% of India's population lives in rural areas and a majority are connected to agriculture income. And agriculture is the backbone of rural life. This is clear to everyone. Now we will discuss the changing face of rural India. What was there in rural India and what currently we are seeing rural India that we are going to discuss. Rural India is not a homogeneous kind of thing. It is heterogeneous kind of thing because rural India is economically diverse. Many different group of people are there having different set of needs. Structurally, it is different. Many are having kacha house, many are having semi-pakka house, and few are having pakka houses also. They are having different occupation. Few are dependent on agriculture, and few are also dependent on non-farm jobs. Digitally, they are slowly getting empowered because smartphone uses, your access to internet, social media is slowly entering into the rural belt. Rural background is also community driven. We all know about self-help group, their initiation and their job at rural belt. There are regional differences also. For example, if you see a village in Punjab, it is far different than a village in Haryana. Their living style, their eating style, their dependency on income style, these are all different. Same way, the village of Bihar is also different than the village of Assam due to environment, due to culture, due to eating style, due to production, due to crops, many things are there. So the basic understanding is that rural India is slowly changing to a smarter India. On this context, you can do a home exercise. You go and check where your grandfathers are living. Do they have the land to do the cultural agricultural activity? And you compare the living style of your root at your village and your living style where exactly you are residing now, so that you will get a clarity on what is called a village. But before going to we know the common definition of village, but let's see what is the structural definition. The Census of India defines rural any area with a population density of 400 people per square kilometer. In an area which is having 400 people per square kilometer can be called as a rural. If it is having 400 people per square kilometer, 75% of the male working population must be engaged in agricultural income or a source of income from the agriculture. There should not be any municipality or any kind of structured administration over there. If these 3 points are satisfied, Census of India has defined this is called rural belt. Suppose tomorrow you are joining an FMCG company or FMCD company and your manager has given you a task to map the rural belt of India or rural belt of any state for any marketing activity, let's say product development, product penetration, product introduction, this definition of Census of India is going to help you. These are some other definitions, you can go by this also, but the basic definition given by the Census of India is really going to help you in your professional life. Let's understand how rural market and urban market differs in their characteristics. They differ in economic activities, as we discussed. In rural belt, major economic activities are agriculture. In urban belt, there are many different activities we will discuss in detail in next slides. The second point that makes the rural different from the urban is infrastructure and access. The third is buying behavior. Consumers are living in rural belt and consumers living in urban areas. The next one is retail formats, and the last one is financial system. These differences shape marketing strategy, product design, and communication, and these are all elements of marketing mix. What is the economic activity and employment in rural India? We all know agriculture is our backbone. We majorly having the major income source from the agriculture cultural activities. It includes farmers, and it also includes some associated jobs. So we normally called agriculture as an ecosystem. Some people are there who provide seeds, some are there who provides the tractors, some are there who sprinkle your cultivation. So entire system of agriculture is known as agricultural ecosystem. But major source of income is agriculture at rural belt. Non-farm jobs, as we discussed, retail, construction, self-help group activities are also rising in rural belt. Urban India is dependent on service industry. Let's say hospitality service, let's say saloon service. They are having IT industries, they are having manufacturing industry. So in urban India, major source of income or economic activity is having a broad dimension in compared to your rural India. Rural employment is often seasonal. That means if it is a harvest week or harvest month, they are having more income sources, but urban jobs are more regular and having a systematic pattern. Let's come to the financial system and credit lending system at rural belt. Rural belt relies on microfinance institutions, that is MFIs, and self-help groups, who all might be close to the structure of sahukars. They still exist at rural belt. They used to lend money to the person who is borrowing from them. Slowly, rural belt is also seeing that growth in money lending systems. Those as I discussed, microfinance institutions are active in rural belt. Self-help groups are also borrowing money from bank. Bank is also relying on SSG because they trust a group rather than an individual. Agriculture income is always seasonal. Credit is short-term and need-based. Informal lenders like sahukars are still dominant in rural belt. In comparison to rural, in urban areas, there is a formal banking system. So people are getting loans in a systematic way. They are getting loans, their purchase power is slowly increasing. In urban areas, we are having more number of salaried individuals. They have better credit profiles. We all know about credit cards. So the basic difference in rural and urban is the lending and credit system through structured way and through unstructured way. Then it comes to buying behavior and consumption pattern. Both are consumers. Let it be rural or urban. Consumers are always there to consume your product or the marketer's product. Rural buyers always prefer smaller, affordable pack size, that is known as SKU, stock keeping units. Suppose they need a shampoo packet or shampoo to use, they will go for shampoo sachet. But if you compare it to the urban buyers, they will go for shampoo bottles because they have higher paying capacity. But at rural belt, they always go for smaller pocket size product. Because of price, because of affordability, because of single use, many factors are there. Decision influenced by word of mouth in rural belt because literacy is lower. If someone has purchased a TV, the neighbors are coming and checking whether the TV is good or bad. Then when they decide to buy a TV, they always take the feedback or the conversation with their neighbor for their buying decision. Purchases are seasonal at rural belt, as I discussed. During their harvest time, they used to have money in their pocket and they go for buying decisions. They used to buy at marriage season also. So rural buyers are having three factors for their buying behavior. In urban buyers, they are more brand conscious. They are more tech savvy. They are having more product awareness due to your social platform, your Instagram, your product review feedback, your rating system. They have all the knowledge about the product. Shopping is frequent. They are not seasonal shopping by behavior. They usually shop. If you go to any urban, urban area, you will see people are enjoying shopping. Let it be Monday or Tuesday or the weekend, they are always packed in a shopping mall. So they shopping behavior or buying behavior is frequent for urban buyers. Let it be online or offline. They have access to credit cards, easy money availability. That is the difference in the buying behavior between urban buyers and rural buyers. When it comes to rural retail ecosystem, rural people usually buy from kirana stores, weekly hats or melas. These are the key channels for their buying availability. Or when they used to buy product, these are the three platform for them. They don't have fridge, so they buy limited amount of things. Even if they want to buy in bulk, they have a limitation because they don't have a fridge. Physical reach is a challenge due to poor infrastructure in rural belt. When it comes to urban, they are having supermarkets, small e-commerce platform, they have cold chains, they have storage facility, they have logistic facility. So these people are open for buying. These people are the frequent buyer at different platforms. So when a marketer want to enter to the rural belt, the brand strategy needs to be rural specific distribution model. Suppose your Hindustan HUL has a project that is known as Shakti, Project Shakti, where what they did, they empowered the women buyers to buy more product or to sell the product in their local community. That is the distribution channel HUL has adopted, and it was a hit for the HUL. Then it comes to assets and investment behavior. Rural households invest in land, gold, and automobiles. Land is everything for them. It's an emotion. It is the major income source for them. So when they invest, they usually go for purchasing land, then gold, because they think gold is the next asset for them. Less likely they sell land. It holds emotional and security value for them. Nowadays, it has been observed that smartphone ownership is in a rising trend for better connectivity. That means we can take a simple understanding. A rural belt, people are now slowly adapting the use of smartphone. They are purchasing the smartphone. While in urban households, they invest in real estate, mutual funds, and insurance because they understand ROI, return on investment. If they're investing today, how much they're going to earn back within 2 years or 3 years. So they do invest in real estate, mutual fund, and insurance. They used to assess diverse financial products. So simple understanding is that how consumers are investing in a rural belt and how they're investing in a urban belt. So for the marketers who is planning to enter to the rural belt, he has to take a note of all these factors. There is a shift in employment patterns in rural media. Employment in non-farm sectors, construction, retail, and real estates, has increased from 19.7% from in the year 1983 to 35% in 2019. That means people have shifted, the income source or the employment source has taken a shift from agricultural land to different other industries. For example, construction industry, retail industry, or real industry. Agriculture remains the primary but not the exclusive one. That means people are looking for other job options. Rural India is diversifying economically and needing the introduction of new products. For marketers, this point is important because people are changing to different income zones. So their income pattern is also seeing or observing a different type of different impact of income. They marketers can introduce new products as per their income slabs. Suppose previously marketers used to wait for the time of harvest to introduce their product, but this data is showing us what? This data is showing us that because the non-farm jobs are at an increasing rate, so marketers can introduce their product as per the requirement of the rural consumers. Village size and population transition. If you go back to 1950, the 43% of rural population lived in villages having more than 1,000 people. By 2011, only 12% lived in such small villages. There is a change. Now we are having 24,000 plus large villages having 190 million people. That roughly calculates to 10% of India's total population. Rural in classification but urban in behavior. This is the catchy words nowadays. They classified as rural, but their behavior is slowly displaying the behavior of a urban belt. So this is the sweet spot for the rural markets. They can introduce new product, they can develop new branding strategies, keeping in mind these number of consumers are available in large village sizes. So this is a change. Then it comes to land holding and fragmentation. Before, 95% of farmers are small or marginal. How we calculate small and marginal? There is a cutoff. Those farmers holding less than 2 hectares of land. 5% are only large farmers having more than 2 hectares of land. They own only 68% of the agricultural land. Average land holding size is 1.2 hectares. Pictures are given. There is a pie chart and there is a histogram. This fragmentation makes large-scale farming hard and keeps rural incomes low. This shows what 1970. In the year 1970, the land holding was almost towards 2.2 hectares per farmers. But slowly towards 2020, there is a decrease in land holding size. So fragmentation has taken place. This fragmentation makes large scale farming hard and keeps rural income low. For marketers, this means what? This means they are having low income group, and there is the affordability for them is critical. They don't have money in their pocket due to having less amount, or the land size is now small for them, or they are having less than 2 hectares of land. So marketers has to take a note of this. Products should be modular, low cost and relevant to small landowners, because the statistics is showing that. It comes to rural housing trends. 20 years back, most rural homes were kacha or temporary. 20 years back. Now a large share are pakka or permanent house. Because of many factors, your government scheme, your rising income of consumers, what it indicates to marketers? It indicates rising aspiration and better capacity to consumer durables. This transformation from kacha house to pakka house, before 2000, it was almost like 60% of kacha house. In 2020, we are having more pakka house. This makes a simple understanding. People are having money, they can afford to consumer durables product, and this information is a necessary information for the marketers. Let's summarize the difference between rural and urban markets. Rural markets are becoming more structured and consumption ready. They are now ready to consume new kind of products. There is a shift in employment, housing, asset holding. These are the sign of transition. Marketers must align with regional retailers, affordability, realities, and local infrastructures. The last point in understanding rural belt is rural is not uniform. So the concept of one size fits all will not work. After this, we are going to discuss the demographic profile of rural India. How they live, what is their way of living, what they consume, what is their educational background, what is their marital status. A marketer need to understand this. Over 60% of India's population lives in rural area as per the data of 2021. There is a shift in family structure, age distribution, education and land holding. Understanding these trends is critical for effective rural marketing. Let's understand the first point, that is population versus household growth. Population grew from 630 million to 870 million. Households also increased from 125 million to 200 million. It implies what? It implies a move from joint to nuclear families. Previously, rural belts were having all joint families. Nowadays, they have shifted from joint family culture to nuclear families. It clearly illustrates that while rural population has steadily grown up, the number of households is increasing faster, indicating a shift to smaller family units. Age structure, young rural India. If you go by the pie chart, over 60% of rural population is aged between 15 to 59. It is referred as a young age of people, so it is known as a young rural India. Around 300 million rural millennials, young and tech curious, because their age is like that. They are more tech savvy, they are looking for new products, they are searching for feedbacks, so they are naturally tech curious. Major consumer base and workforce reserves are from this millennial category. So as we discussed, 60% are in the age of 15 to 59. So we will consider rural belt as a young rural India. Next comes your literacy and education trends. Literacy rate in rural belt is almost 64.7. Male literacy rate is 72.3%. Female literacy rate is 56.8%. Progress. Why the female literacy rate has progressed? Due to, as we all know, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Swachh Vidyalaya, Dhanlakshmi scheme. That means there is a 16% gender gap in literacy, highlighting the continued need for targeted educational initiatives, especially for girls and women in rural areas. This is their literacy rate. How does it help to a marketer? Because the marketer will introduce the product as per their understanding. Understanding comes from their literacy rate. Land holding and fragmentation. 95% farmers are small and marginal. We have already discussed it. They own only 68% of the total land. The land holding has dropped to 1.2 hectares per individual. Low agricultural income, which makes affordability a key concern, a critical concern for the marketers. Marketers need to bundle products, offer low-cost version and credit scheme if they want to popularize their product or if they want to enter into rural belt. This table shows that 1970s average land holding per hectare is 2.28 hectares and towards 2020 it becomes 1.08 hectare per person. Then we will discuss about changing village sizes. In 1950, 43% lived in villages having less than 1,000 population. By 2011, only 12% live in that particular villages. Now we are having 24,000 large villages and 190 million people in that particular location. So the marketers can consider these are close to city structures, well connected and ready for modern goods and services to be introduced for their uses. Housing and consumption readiness. More homes are now Pakka homes or permanent homes due to many different programs, rising incomes. India is ready for consumer durables, especially when offered on easy EMIs or local financing models. That means if EMI option will be available to rural belt, they will be open for consumer durables products to purchase for their uses. Housing type, this table shows that before 2000 60% were Kacha house, and after 2020 it is now dropped to 20% of Kacha house. So also the Pakka house percentage has increased from 15% in the year 2000 to 50% after 2020. These all data are valid data for a marketer to decide how to introduce their product and where to introduce and who will be the prospective consumers for their product. Let's summarize the entire demographic trends of rural belt. Now rural areas or belt is having more smaller nuclear families and they are consuming more units of products. Youth dominance is reflected in growing tech and media influence because their age is between 15 to 59. Rising literacy has created potential for better brand communication because they are now more literate. They are understanding the brand communication or what the brand is speaking to them or telling to them. Smaller land holdings is developing the need for affordable solution. Larger villages are easier to assess the rural distribution, and Pakka housings are showing readiness for durable good market. They are having Pakka house, they can buy the durable products. Before 2020, they were having Kacha house. So they were restricting themselves to purchase consumer durables. So this is the summary of demographic trends of rural market. Then understand who is a rural consumer. Consumer is a person who consumes the product. He may be a customer, he may buy it or not, but finally he consumes it. So rural consumer are slowly getting larger day by day, growing, and they are increasingly complex segment because social media is entering, smartphone uses are on the higher side. So it is slowly becoming the complex segment because it is shaped by economic reforms, green revolution, and digital exposure. So marketer has to think the rural belt is not motivated by price driven factor. They're slowly getting brand aware and they're looking for value in a product. How the rural consumer has evolved in time duration or in a particular time duration. Pre 1990s, the income was low, high dependency on agriculture. After 1991, economic reforms had happened. Remittances had started coming to India, and infrastructure has also taken the shape and size. In the year 2000s, mobile phones were introduced, TV, internet connection. These all helped rural consumers to remain informed buyers. Post to 2010, smartphones for social media made a consumer a confident decision maker. Because if someone from the rural belt is going to purchase a smartphone, he is also reviewing the product uses through YouTube. YouTube is more attractive. They are not going to Google to see the feedback. They are directly jumping to YouTube to see the product features in a video format to know the exact feedback from a user who has already purchased the smartphone. Rural consumers could now access information as we discussed through YouTube, through Google rating, compare the products and watch videos on platforms. Today they are curious, they are brand aware and they are price value conscious consumers. What are the characteristics of rural consumers or traits of rural consumers? They believe on word of mouth, strong influence of word of mouth. If you have purchased a product, you will strongly recommend the product to your friend if you are extremely happy with the product. Local influencers like teachers, health workers, panchayat leaders have marketing power. They are also influencing the consumer to buy this kind of product, that kind of product. Collective decision making while purchasing a product, they are again dependent on their family and the community to have a feedback from them. Preferences for small, simple, visual brandings because they are not into the technicalities of branding and advertisement. If the logos and colors are user friendly, simple, and visually attractive, they are following that. Brand loyalty is there, but again, they are looking for value based switching. Even if they want to switch to another product, the first thing they are prioritizing is the value of the product. And it is cash dominant economy. That means they're buying the product by paying hard cash. Credit system is not that active. Digital and social influence in rural market, YouTube, Google, so people are easily having visual understanding. Smartphone uses rising in rural areas. Social media is a major influence during product research. Final decisions still rely on trusted local sources. This makes the combination of digital plus community based strategy very effective, and this is the point where marketers have to focus on developing their product by keeping all these factors into consideration. Next comes the asset ownership and buying behavior. Understanding when rural consumers spend, ultimately this matters to a marketer. How do they spend, where they spend, and what is the spending behavior. So top assets for the rural consumers is, as we have already discussed, the first priority for to spend money is land, then gold, then vehicles, nowadays smartphones. Income is seasonal. Either it is high during the time of post harvest, during the time of festivals, Raja, during type of local festivals, Ratha Yatra, or during a Pongal at the south belt, Lodi in the north belt, like this. Or especially buying behavior is visible clearly through during the wedding peak seasons. So events trigger spending in rural belt, majorly marriages, harvest, and religious functions. Media and advertising in rural markets, how do they impact the rural markets? The best strategies for advertising for rural belt consumers are wall paintings, then hoardings, melas and hearts, and in-store displays. They literally pay more attention to in-store displays. So marketers need to focus on visual branding. They need to focus on local language to advertise something, and they have to take care of their cultural context also. If something is not accepted by their culture, it will be very difficult for the product to sustain and grow. The role of women in rural buying. Women manage day-to-day household spending, small spending to large spending, there, but they are managing day-to-day household spending. Self-help groups, panchayati raj, give them voice and mobility. That means rural belt is also having empowered women. The increasing influence is FMCG product, appliances, education-related buying if the buyer is a woman. So marketers must design campaigns that target women and children, not only the male head of the family. So there is a change. Previously, it was the head of the family who used to take the decision to purchase a product, but nowadays, because the women are getting more empowered, so marketer has to think in the context of women of the employee who is influenced by many other factors. So let's summarize the rural consumer and what we understood from the rural consumer. Who is a rural consumer? Nowadays, rural consumer is more informed with information. They are digitally aware. They are driven by seasonality, social events, and aspirations. Trust peer and local influences more than the advertising messages. Women are active decision makers. They respond to simple, visual, and local messaging. Marketing challenges in rural India. What are the challenges? We understood the demography of rural India. We understood the buying behavior of rural India. Before all these two, we also understood what is a rural belt or rural area and how it is different from the urban cities. So let's understand what are the marketing challenges in rural India. The first challenge is large untapped market but structural limitation persist. Rural consumers are diverse, scattered, and seasonal. Although rural markets are full of potential, reaching and converting rural consumers is not that easy. They are physical, financial, and psychological barriers. To succeed, companies need more than just good products, they need smart, sensitive, and sustained approach. These are the challenges for the rural India, though we will discuss every challenge in detail. Challenge number one is limited access to credit, because every time they don't have money in their pocket to buy. So they sometimes they want to purchase something, but there is a limitation on the cash side. So let's understand how they are having, or what is the first challenge for the marketing functions. They have limited access to credit because small and marginal farmers lack collateral for the bank loans. Formal banks are risk averse. Without easy access to credit, rural buyers struggle to afford even basic products. Many still rely on informal loans with high interest, let it be a sahukar or a self-help group loan amount. Marketers must design for keeping this in mind, because they don't have easy access to any credit or lending system. Marketers must design low cost offerings. They need to enable microfinance tie-ups for their product selling volumes, or promote buy now pay later schemes to drive the adoption. These are the simple things. These are the strategies a marketer can adopt to sell their product in rural belt, because the first challenge is they have limited access to credit. The second challenge is low literacy and awareness. Lower literacy, that leads to less product understanding. Visual media and textual media ads, they are also not able to understand that. So this is a continuous challenge for the marketers. When they produce or circulate their brochures, marketing brochures don't help if people cannot read them. Rural marketing needs more visual communication through symbols, through colors, through videos, through demos. Because through these demonstration only they will understand, oh, this is the product and this product is going to help me in this function of mine, or it is going, this is the use of this product, because they don't understand text of a brochure. Brands must also educate consumers on uses and benefits, especially for products like fertilizers, electronics, and health items. These kind of products need the proper education to use them. If you are buying a fridge, your shopkeeper has not told you or to switch off the connection while it is having difficult weather outside, and you are not aware of this, ultimately you are going to bear the loss. This is called customer education about the product, because they are not having sufficient educational background. They will not understand the text of your brochure. So marketers has to take care of more colorful visual communication type. Challenge number 3 is exploitation by middlemen. Farmers mostly rely on middlemen for market access, selling produce, purchasing inputs, because they don't trust their own decision making capacity. So they usually depend on other person to take a decision for them, and that other influencer or the other person is known as the middleman. Middlemen act as both enablers and blockers. Sometimes they used to motivate the person to purchase, or sometimes for their own need, for their own benefit, they block the purchasing behavior. While they provide access, they also reduce the farmer's income and influence buying decision. Marketers need to consider direct to consumer models, cooperatives, or tech-enabled platforms to bypass this kind of exploitation. Marketers have to take a serious note of this structure that is not very visible, but they are influencer for the buying behavior of rural belt consumers. Challenge number 4 is infrastructure and logistics. Due to bad roads, due to lack of cold storage and limited transport, products are not reaching to the rural belt. They don't have proper storage units, so they are keeping everything in a limited size. Getting goods into rural market is expensive and risky. Products need to be durable, small, and easy to store. Brands like HUL succeeded because they focused on small SKUs, robust packaging, and innovative supply chain. This was the strategy of HUL, and because HUL has taken care of this logistic challenges, infrastructure challenges of rural belt, but they overcome it with some innovative strategies, like they introduce small SKUs, robust packaging, so that the product is not going to be damaged during the in the process of transportation. And they also introduce innovative supply chains through women. Challenge 5 is political and administrative barriers. Government schemes are always not accessible, even if the scheme is available. But if you come down to the real practice, it is not that easy to take the benefit of government schemes. Political interferences is huge in terms of subsidy distribution, development schemes, local marketing permission. So marketer has to take these things into his consideration. Policies look great on paper, but in practice, political influence often disturb the access. Some states receive more attention, others are neglected. Marketers must understand local politics, build transfer partnership with panchayat, and stay informed about the schemes while introducing or selling their products. Challenge number 6 is quality and forced issues. Fake products damage the trust. If you are being a marketer, you are selling your fake products, then it is a serious damage to the trust building process of consumers. Consumers cannot always verify the quality of the product, the expiry dates, the product authenticity. So trust building is a critical factor, though it is essential to develop, because a marketer needs that. A bad experience can damage trust permanently. Rural marketers must ensure secure distribution, educate retailers, and use anti-fraud or anti-counterfeit packaging through QR codes introduction, through seals to protect the brand value. This is challenge number 6. Then it comes to the 4A model of rural challenges. It is having four factors starting with the letter A, so it is known as 4A model for rural challenges. The first one is affordability. They are having low income, land holding has come down to 1.2 hectares, seasonal agricultural farming, so they are having low income. There is no credit availability to them. So this is first challenge is affordability. The second one is availability. Weak infrastructure, poor logistic is blocking the road of product distribution in rural belt. Then the third one is awareness due to low literacy. Consumers in rural belts are not very aware of the product features, benefits, advantages, disadvantages of the product. The last one is the accessibility. That is because if the product is not matching with their cultural acceptance, low product trust, so it is creating the fourth challenge. And these four A or the four factors are known as 4A model of rural challenges. A marketer has to take care of this 4A framework for understanding where marketers go wrong, where they can innovate, they can improvise the products. By addressing each of these challenges proactively and locally, marketers can unlock the long-term success in rural India. Next is introduction to rural India. What is rural? That is a combination of rural plus urban. Refers to rural areas with urban-like characteristics. It is classified as rural, but having urban-like characteristics, having more consumers into that particular area. They are product aware, they are tech savvy, they are literate people. So it matches with urban-like characteristics. High potential due to proximity to the cities, better infrastructure, and increased connectivity. For example, if your manager has given you a task to map where they can sell their micro oven, and you are residing in Delhi region, so you are tapping the rural market of Delhi. You have to take care of the interior villages of the Delhi, not exactly the closer village to Connaught Place or to in Delhi NCR, because the villages, those are close to the cities. They are mostly like cities. They are having the same buying behavior. They are aware consumers. So for them, this rural is perfectly fitting. Classified as rural, but they are having urban characteristics. The government officially recognizes rural clusters. These are the areas where rural settlement soars, but it shows urban income patterns, job diversity, and modern housing. They are close to cities, and migration, investment, digital access are transforming them. They are still governed as rural areas, but behave economically like towns. So this concept is the combination of rural and urban. Ruban in numbers as per the census data 2021 to 2011. As per Census 2011, India has seen the emergence of dense village structures or clusters on the outskirts of cities. These are ideal for marketers due to large population, better infrastructure, logistic, roads, schools, and housing type. Fast adaptation to urban goods like electronics, packaged foods, etc. These new villages are our entry points to figure to the future of rural market. National Rurban Mission, Sama Prasad Mukherjee Rurban Mission. It was launched to bridge the rural and urban divide. Was to develop 300 Rurban clusters. It integrates infrastructure, employment, housing skill development, and offers critical gap funding for local projects. Why this mission was established? Because it aims to develop self-sustaining rural clusters with city-level facilities like education, transport, jobs, digital access, without converting them into municipalities. This supports rural identity while boosting economic growth. What are the characteristics of urban areas? They are having higher income and consumption rate, diversified occupation, in the sense they are having non-farming jobs also, presence of banks, schools and internet, transport links and markets, urban aspiration in rural setup. The consumers are aspiring for more new products in their setup. Marketing implication of rural India, higher purchasing power of the consumer. They are ready infrastructure is available, so easier will be the distribution for the marketers. Aspirational consumers open to new products, brand exposure via digital platforms are available. Rural is the entry gate to deeper rural India. These are the marketing implication of rural India. Marketers can take the benefit of these factors. What are the examples of urban zones? Sonipat, Panipat, Rohtak, Haryana ka Rohtak. These are close to New Delhi NCR. Likewise, there is a urban area in Tamil Nadu, that is Sri Perumbudar near Chennai, and Sananand in Gujarat near Ahmedabad, Sangali and Santara in Maharashtra near Pune. These are close to cities and they are demonstrating the characteristics of urban zones. So for a marketers, they have to take care of these zones as urban areas, though they are classified as rural areas as per census. Let's summarize the urban significance. The strategic value of urban India are due to urban is the future of rural consumption, and this is the primary factor to focus for the marketers. This balances rural values and urban aspirations. Values are rooted in rural culture, but their aspirations lies in uses of different new products. Supported by policy and infrastructure, gateway for brands entering rural markets, as we discussed, those are the sweet spots for rural market for the new product introduction, enable scalable and inclusive growth. Let's summarize the entire unit. We have already discussed what is rural area. Then we discussed about demographic characteristics of rural area. Then we discussed about the buying behavior of rural consumers. Then we also discussed about the potentiality of urban, what is a urban and all those. Let's come to the end of this and we are going to summarize the entire unit. Rural markets were once seen as underdeveloped. Rural markets were once seen as underdeveloped. and low income rate, but now that view is outdated because of many factors: infrastructure development, government schemes, accessibility to internet, smart uses of phones. So no the condition of being underdeveloped is nowadays not existing. Then it comes to recent decades saw growth in infrastructure, IT, and smartphone penetration. Infrastructure development is also seen there in rural belt. They are having banks, they are having bridges, they are having ATM outlets, they are having small malls kind of thing. So that difference or that growth of infrastructure is also nowadays visible in rural belt. IT and smartphone penetration is also slowly getting the number of getting the market capture. Smartphone users are increasing in their sizes of customers. Rural consumers are now more informed because we discussed smartphone number of users of smartphone has already increased. So they are informed, they are switching to YouTube for the feedback of the product, they are comparing the product, they are comparing the price of the product, they are also seeing or observing what is the advantages of buying this product on this particular discount phase, or they're keeping it in their plan to buy in a particular discount phase because of uses of smartphone and social media. And they're aspirational, they're looking for more new products to use and digitally connected. Women are increasingly part of the workforce, so they are having their own income sources, they are no more dependent on the male partner of their house, contributing economically, and they are having individual buying power. Government reforms and welfare programs have uplifted rural communities, and this is because of this they are having more purchasing power. But there are again some challenges existing even on this on this phase of 20th century, 21st century. Only 2 lakh of 6.5 lakh villages are well serviced. That means we are marketers has to think how to enter, how to capture, and how to tap the rest of the villages. Access costs are high. Infrastructure gaps remain a challenge for the rural marketers. Roads, banks, retail, and utilities are yet to establish. Rural India holds over 60% of the population, and establishing that it is a huge market potential. Marketer cannot avoid this potentiality of rural India because it is having 60% of the entire population. Tapping this potential requires what? Marketer has to think of the strategic planning in terms of product development, keeping in mind what is the requirement of the rural India. In terms of advertisement, how to advertise, how to create a logo, how to create a visually attractive logo. In terms of uses of the product, uh, by doing a proper research on the needs of the rural belt or the rural India. So strategic planning for a marketer is a must because all the factors that contribute to the buying behavior of the rural market are having the roots in different dimension. Let it be agricultural income, non-farming income, credit and lending system, or underdeveloped infrastructures, and not having particular literacy and education regarding the products. So when a marketer is developing a product, he has to think strategically by keeping all these factors on table. Tailored marketing. As we know, one size fit formula will not work here. You have to take a particular note for this kind of village. If it is a potential village for my shampoo bottle, the marketer has to think how this marketing strategies or marketing communication will be for this particular village, and they don't understand the common language. They only speak their local language. So advertising strategy will also change as per their understanding. Codings will again change as per their understanding. Their communication through literature, through brochures, through newspaper cutouts will again have their own language. So this is the way the marketer has to take a note how to develop their tailored marketing strategies. And the marketer can go for long term investment. If the marketer is thinking that today I am investing, tomorrow I this demography of rural market. And we also discussed how a marketer can tap this untapped potentiality of rural market, because 60% of India's population is residing in villages. With this, we are ending the unit 1, and thank you very much.